let's have a look to some common attacks. And let's start with denial of service attacks. DOS or DDoS, distributed denial of service attacks. What does this mean? Such denial of service attacks are attacks with a goal of disruption of availability of a service. So the common user of the service should no more able to access that service. And the DDoS, the distributed denial of service attacks, are executed by a large number of attackers which in the same moment try to access the service. So they do not use an exploit to misuse a vulnerability. They try to get access to the regular service of the system, but they do it with a huge number in the same moment, so that system is no more able to react in a right way. And here is how such distributed denial of service attacks are organized. There is one attacker, and this attacker uses a central command and control server of a botnet. So typically denial of service attacks are performed by so-called botnets, and these botnets, these are computers which are infiltrated by malware. By malware that waits for a command of this command and control server which says, now access the service. And then in this moment, all the systems of the botnet in same moment start to try to access, to get access to the service. And in this way, because it's a huge number, a very huge number, sometimes millions of computers, the system is no more able to react in the right way. To give some examples, for example, there was publicly known the low orbit Iron Canyon, the LOIC. It is a network testing software that can be misused for such type of an attack. So actually meant to check whether the network is sufficient resistant to denial of service attacks. So this software was designed to check whether a system can, if such an denial of service attack is started against the system, that the systems can resist. But of course, also by this software can also be misused by the attackers to perform a real denial of service attack. For example, another known example for such a denial of service attack was the operation Assange. This was a distributed denial of service attack against MasterCard, against Visa and other websites. And the reason for the attack was a political decision to stop the processing of WikiLeaks donations because of these discussions and the assertions against Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks. Another type of attacks comes from malware. Attacks like virus, worms, Trojan attacks. Malware, this is an artificial word constructed from the first part of malicious and the last part of the word software. So malicious software, this is malware, and viruses, worms, Trojans are examples of such malware. For example, virus. A virus is a destructive mini program which usually come as an unwanted payload of contaminated applications. Worms is another type of such malware. It is malicious software that distributes itself automatically via open network connections. Then we have another example, Trojan horses. Trojan horses, this is malware which often unintentionally installed on the computer system by a naive user, and the functionality that is shown by the Trojan horse is different from what the user is expecting. So for example, it provides a backdoor or it's for logging the passwords in the background. So such Trojan horse, for example, shows a page where you can log in a service, but it is not the original page, it's the page by the Trojan horse. So the user gives in his username, his password, and then the data are collected by this Trojan horse and sent, for example, over the internet to the hackers. And then the real login page of the system came with the remark that there was a misspelling or other things. Another example, more dangerous example, no more dangerous, more which was a big discussion in Germany. This was the so-called Bundestrojanen, the federal Trojan, and it was developed by the German police to eavesdrop voice over IP software. And then it became famous because the Computer Chaos Club analyzed the software and find out several weaknesses and bad design and other things. So it was a big public discussion about it. Further examples will be presented when we discuss in the course how this malware is installed on the computers, what needs to be done to get prevented from such thing. Here we want to give an overview about different types of attack. Another type, dangerous type of attacks is spoofing and phishing. Spoofing, this is the idea that an attacker sends a message with a fake sender address. For example, a fake IP address or an email address, for example, with the name of a family member or of the name of the boss. And this spoofing can be done because in the email system there is no check whether it's the original sender address or whether the email comes with a fake sender address. So this spoofing, it's not only possible with emails, also with other communication software. The spoofing is often used in connection and to prepare other attacks. For example, it's often used in connection with phishing. And phishing as a method of social engineering encourages users to reveal password and their others. So the attackers prepare and send fake emails or fake SMSs or fake calls and try to push the user to go to a website to reveal some internal information or others. To give an example, the email comes with the fake sender address, so it's a spoofed email, and prompts users to open a fake web page. And this web page has very strong similarity with a web page of a real service, for example, with a bank or others, or of Facebook. And then the user are prompted to enter their own user data, username, password, credit card number, and others. And this is not sent to the service. The user knows it is sent to the attackers, which prepare the website that looks very similar to a real service. Defacement. This is another attack which is dangerous. Here it's an attack against defacement, it's an attack against the website or web server. And the aim of such a defacement attack is that the content of the web page is changed. So deface, change of the face. And such defaced websites are used for phishing of user data. For example, user has no way of knowing that changes of the web pages are unauthorized changes. He has given in the link as usual, for example, of his online bank or of another service, and in reality, by means of the change of the content of this website, for example, there is the wish that this service asked him to look to a link to another, for example, a website with malware. So the attackers can acquire sensitive identity data, passwords, credit card numbers in this way because the user feels that he is on the usual website and that, for example, every time he wants to use an online banking service, he has to give in this data. The defacement is also done, for example, for a self-promotion of hacking groups. It is done for political propaganda. It is done for an attack on availability. Here, for example, is an example that looks very much like a Google page. It is a Google website for Palestine, which was defaced by giving content which does not came by the Google, which was changed by hackers. For example, question what would happen if we change the country title of Israel to Palestine in Google Maps. It would be a revolution, so listen to Rihanna and be cool, and then you see here things, for example, Israel is not called. So there is some political content and political propaganda done in this way with this defacement attack. Another family of attack is sniffing and eavesdropping. Sniffing is the name for methods developed for network diagnostics. Network diagnostic is important for the administrator to check whether the network works in a correct way, and for that reason the administrator can listen to the entire network traffic to check whether there is performance okay and packets are not lost and others. The system administrator can detect and analyze network traffic errors by means of such sniffing software. For example, Wireshark is a famous sniffing software designed for the administrators. But of course, attackers can also use this software, can also try to listen to all what's going on inside a network. So they can attack, they can eavesdrop all what the participants of the network are doing, what kind of mails they are exchanging. They can check and listen to every data package and can, for example, try to identify passwords or other sensitive information. So an attacker connects to victim's network, collects and analyzes all the IP packets with the aim to extract, for example, identity data or other sensitive private data from that, simply by using such a sniffing software and eavesdropping what's going on in the network. The attacker, of course, can only read unencrypted traffic. So all messages that are unencrypted may be seen by the attackers. So if one wants to do something against such eavesdropping attacks, one has to take care that sensitive data are encrypted. One cannot prevent that attackers. Internet is an open network. So one cannot prevent that the attackers listen to all what's going on, but one can prevent that they understand the content, the detail of this communication. Of course, these were only a few examples. There are further attacks on IT systems, for example, unauthorized physical access to computer system, laptop theft, cell phone theft, burglary in server rooms and others. Social engineering attacks are quite dangerous. So not only for stealing passwords, as in the phishing example, but also for other kind of attacks to decrypt identity data, for example, to get access to, for example, by infiltrating malware, to get access to the information before this information is encrypted, password cracking attacks, to decrypt the hashed password. Password guessing is a successful attack because many people do not take care that they select strong passwords. We will learn more about such attacks when we are discussing malware in the base, how malware comes to your computer in a later week.